Welcome to the Transform Sales Podcast, where forward-thinking business leaders come to share their experiences and ideas, learn from each other, and amplify their results together.
Hey guys, Amir Ryder here for the Transform Sales Podcast with my guest, Gil Allouche, my fellow Israeli. How are you?
I'm doing great. Good to be here.
Well. So Gil, I had the honor of meeting you probably like 3 or 4 years ago, right?
Yeah, it's been a while.
Where we're
Came to
both
visit me in
looking
San
at each other
Francisco.
like, are we friend? Are we foe? How do we help each other? Two type A Israeli personalities, always an interesting mix. Before we start the podcast, we'd love to kind of kick it off with maybe an interesting fact about yourself that somebody would not know by simply following you.
Interesting. A fact about myself that people don't usually know.
Gotta be something.
Yeah, for sure. Maybe that I jumped bungee from 3 countries.
You jumped bungee. You did bungee jumping in 3 countries.
Yeah, in Israel, in Thailand, and of course in the US.
All right. Well, that sounds pretty interesting. I did not know that. Are you going to bungee jump again?
Definitely.
Okay, good.
New Zealand is the next place.
I like that. So, when it comes to transforming sales, for those that do not know what metadata.io does, I'm going to do the elevator pitch, right? And I'm going to pitch your product because I know it very well. Right? And if you look at what metadata.io does, it's essentially, in my opinion, a paid marketing team that comes with data. And what you guys are doing is purchasing, procuring multiple data sets, right? So you're taking away the pain point of people going to buy Bombora, ZoomInfo, a tech target. You have it all. You're using all that targeting data to make precise Facebook and and LinkedIn audiences that will convert better at B2B ads. Did I get it right?
That's a nice pitch. That was correct for 2017, but it's not. It's good. So today, it's not like you come to metadata and then skip instead of having a conversation with Bombora, but instead we ingested all of those data sources and normalized them so that you have one place where you can do, like, when you can create as many audiences as you would like using any firmographic, technographic, buyer intent data. All of them are in our marketplace. You still, if you have a relationship with the existing ones, you can still leverage them, just plug in the API. If you don't, you can activate them through our platform. But the unique part of metadata is not so much just the data. The data makes sure you don't spend a minute of your time or $1 of your budget on the wrong company or the wrong persona within your target market. That's just good for B2B. But the way we operationalize the data is by using experimentation as a means to an end to execute. So instead of having a team of people who used to have indeed to run all of your campaigns, now we have a decision tree that essentially executes all of your campaigns and optimizes them. And instead of optimizing the campaigns and changing the budget or the creative or the channel or the campaign type, maybe like instead of LinkedIn ads, it's going to be LinkedIn conversational, or maybe a sales cadence and outreach. And it will switch out all the variables, but optimize not based on vanity metrics, things like cost per lead or impression or a click, but actually based on pipeline, revenue, CAC, things like that, because we pull those from your Salesforce. So it really it gives you the ability to scale like 5, 10x without having to hire 20 more campaign managers.
It's interesting. Now, you see all the data, right? And you see it's because it's fairly simple, right? What customer success is for metadata is results that are measurable. What customer success is for CloudTask is results that are measurable. Do you find that there is I would say, preferred follow-up, whether it's automated or manual or a mix of both that does better? Or like where, like, I have seen that people typically are, marketing owns it and marketing wants marketing automation to do it, right? Very few times that they're personalizing, follow-ups, right? Do you think that the battle between marketing and sales, trying to take ownership of the lead versus focusing on being a revenue department, really is a damaging concept for a lot of leaders that they don't realize? In the question, I just rambled on, but
no, you do 2 interesting things there. First of all, you're the SDR expert. I think you know more than me there. From what I can see in my company, for example, I have one SDR, Ashley, and she's amazing, and she generates almost 200 demo requests, right, on a monthly basis. And that is a huge capacity because she's using a hybrid of automation and personalization. Like, for example, I saw this thing on LinkedIn. I don't remember which prospect it was. She was working with the team, and the buyer was in a restaurant, and she worked with his team, like collaboratively, to pay his bill while he was in the restaurant. And he loved it, she set up a meeting with the buyer. That is super personal. But even in her outreach cadences that are automated, she does put the time to make sure there is a blog that they read recently or a piece of content they publish, and inject that and make sure it's relevant, not just like the usual stuff. You just like see a picture of your logo or something that is super generic. I think that doesn't work. And I think that's the magic there, is to do something that doesn't scale at first. Figure out that it's like the hook is there, the message, the content, the something that you found to be repeatable, then you can automate it. Trying to automate too early before you actually know what works, what doesn't work, that's I think where the mistake is. So that's what I have to say about SDR.
That makes sense. And also, let's talk about that also a little bit deeper, right? Because I think one of the things, when I think of metadata at AI, I think of a large computer experimental machine.
Yes.
Always running experiments, right?
Yes.
Now, do you see that people either choose automation or personalized follow-up? Some do a mix of it, but is there a gap where it's not properly A/B tested against the right audience, right? Is there a point where people are doing either or when they really should be saying, I'm going to take 100 inbound leads that look the same and run automation. I'm going to take 100 that look the same, run personalization, and I'm going to actually use the data to make decisions? Or are you finding that a lot of decisions are based on impulse and not on data, and either or?
I mean, I'm an engineer, right? I'm a software engineer in all of my bones. I do believe in data being should be driving your decisions. But I also, to my previous point, you have to walk before you run, or crawl before you walk, however they say it. Do something that doesn't scale first. Do it based on your hunch, and then see the results. That's where the data comes from. Like, you sent 100 personalized emails to, let's say, 100 somewhat similar profiles. That means you separated one variable, which is maybe subject line, maybe the body of the email, and now learn from that, and now start doing A/B testing or multivariate experimentation. We do multivariate. You said it exactly right, like a big experimentation machine. That's what we are, and we do multivariate experimentation because you never know what variable is going to be most relevant for you. Is it going to be the channel? Is going to be different. The campaign type, the audience segment is going to be different. The creative, the content that you're sending. So those things change. If you run just the A/B testing, then you may have a false positive because something completely different is the biggest differentiator. But if you test like 5 variables at a time and you scale the experiment to like 100 experiments or 500, then you'll fine tune into the 20 out of the 1,000 experiments that are best performing. And then you use that, and that's your automation.
Interesting. Do you ever find that campaigns that you think are home runs fail to produce expected results, and campaigns that are almost like, holy crap, I'm doomed, we're not going to renew, and they succeed? And I'd love to hear the most awkward campaign you've ever executed that succeeded, that kind of like blew your mind. You're like, how the hell did that work?
Oh man, it's interesting. First of all, our customers sometimes win. It already happened like a good amount of time. They won awards for campaigns they didn't manually run themselves, like the machine ran for them, which were very weird. Like the learnings from the data sometimes is unbelievable. Like there is a color, there's a background color that works better for like CISO, like for a security officer versus like a data architect. Like there are all kinds of very, like you could figure out how to explain psychologically why that is the case. I have no idea, but I see it in the data, like a button. And we did release the benchmark report, which we analyzed. Like
I gotta send to me again.
It's interesting. Like you can see a bunch of weird stuff there, like how many words you put. Is it to learn more or try now? Like a bunch of different things that completely change the gamut. Or for example, one misconception is Facebook doesn't work for B2B. Marketers think that Facebook is not working for B2B because they don't have the right targeting capabilities on B2B, on Facebook, because Facebook gets most of their revenues from consumer advertising. So they didn't build much for the B2B side. But you can easily apply all the targeting in the world to custom audiences, upload those custom audiences, and boom. Same thing goes for the, for like even Instagram. We were talking about Instagram before when we chatted, and Instagram is a great inventory. Again, if you use the right targeting. Pinterest is new. Pinterest now just opened up their own inventory. I'm sure it's going to be
their
amazing.
stock is blowing up.
So there are many conceptions, and data should inform what works, what doesn't work. And if you learn it earlier than others, like the voicemails on LinkedIn is magical, for example. That's a channel that is working. People are curious. They have a 15-second voicemail, 20-second voicemail. They are likely to click the play button versus the other 100 similar looking emails that they get.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I am a proponent of using new channels first, right? I think you've seen me do group WhatsApp videos, and introduce people to you. I'm doing it all day long. I enjoy it. I love the outreach through different channels. Like I've been DMing people on Instagram, which has been working, which is kind of funny. When I first started at CloudTask, my background was sales, right? And if I was hired under a marketing leader or marketing department, I was a little bit afraid, right? Because I was like SDRs belonging for sales. Now I completely believe it's a marketing function, hands down, right? And that's why I don't even consider ourselves outsourced sales anymore, right? Where if you look at Facebook or Google, they're lead generation companies. People don't realize that, right? It's kind of ironic. You think it's a social network, but how does it make money? By generating leads, right? Now we look at your organization and my organization, and we're essentially automating the top of the funnel, right? So that leaders can focus on account executives. What do you think about the concept of hiring an SDR because you want them to eventually become an AE and you want to promote from within? Is that a viable model or is that a broken model?
I think not all SDRs are equal. I think some SDRs want to be SDR leaders, and they want to be more into marketing, and they have one career inspiration. And some SDRs, they want to be AEs, and SDRs for them is just a channel, just a station on the path to being an AE, inside sales, then AE. So I like to ask the person who comes in, what do you want to, like, where do you want to be 3 years from now? What is written on your LinkedIn? Let's say everything goes well. Everything is amazing, triple growth every year. Everything is amazing. Where are you? And then if they want to be managing a team of 5 SDRs, one thing. If they want to be in marketing, it could be another thing. And if they want to close, $1 million enterprise deals, that's great.
So SDRs are here to stay.
I think so. I think SDRs are doing a great job, and I think some of them have different career trajectories. And if you understand it and you can fulfill their path throughout the time they are an SDR, it could be good. Some think of SDRs, someone just told me, like SDRs, they just come in, you give them a low base and high OTE, and you recycle them. I don't know if that should be the case. It could, and it might be working for some companies, and maybe that's the right way, and I just haven't learned it yet. But I also think you can find people who are extremely good at being an SDR. They think outside of the box. They can scale 5x in the usual SDR, like the one we have in the company. And then,
that's what I was getting at. What I was getting at is your SDR produces 200 demos per month. Others, 15,
30, 40, right?
Right. So you're not scaling bodies. Your SDR is, in my opinion, almost an AI SDR manager, right?
And she actually impacts the product. Like the playbooks that she created and executed, she is implementing into the product. Because
so you see a path where an SDR is more involved in automation, marketing, and targeting versus a forward path of closing opportunities?
So I think it's a combo. It's like the goal. So yes, to answer your question,
because it's back to my question of like, why not just hire an AE who wants to be an AE and train him, and hire an SDR who wants to be an SDR and build machines and train them?
Because then you may have different stages. Like if you're in an earlier stage, you don't really know what works, what doesn't work. You may need to create some things that don't scale, like send the personal emails, do a voicemail, do a video, do pay their bill at the restaurant, like do like the Instagram,
get
DM,
data,
do all kinds of stuff that is unique, do arbitrage on channels, do arbitrage on campaign types, do stuff that is different and might be like like a silver bullet. Once you found it, you said, okay, I found like 2 playbooks or 1 playbook that is really working well for me. Awesome. Automate, put it at scale, and go find the next one, because at some point you're gonna have fatigue from that campaign and silver bullet as well. No channel, no arbitrage lasts forever, and so you have to always prepare the next experiment, the next unique experience you're gonna provide.
Oh,
And so
100%, right? I'm like, look at companies that have dividends that are increasing every year, right? Like those are stocks you want to buy. They have to produce more with less, right? And that's where companies like yours come in, and companies like ours, and which is exciting. Gil, this has been awesome. I love how all of this power is just getting down to even the cell phone, right? Like I have done Instagram ads, or I've done targeting on my phone, and it's a cool world where we live in, where we can run all these experiments. And I'm pumped by it. If somebody would want to reach out to you and find out some data, right? Like just not do a path, where can they reach out to you? Where can they find information that can simply just be factual? Like, hey, this background color produced X amount of results, right? Like, why does a company need to figure that out if you already figured it out, right? So how can people reach you, ask you questions, pick your brain, and ensure that when they do invest in digital marketing, that they are both increasing the valuation of Facebook and Microsoft, which owns LinkedIn, and also their own pockets? How can you help people more?
So 3 things. First of all, any personal inquiries, you can always reach out to me. It's gil@metadata.io. In terms of data, for what works, what doesn't work, we do have the benchmark report. It's ungated. You don't have to put
I
your
want
email.
that.
Get there. It's on the website. You go to content, and you'll company and contact. You'll see under
No,
the
I want
content.
like a personal email from the CEO. I like the personal touch.
You got it. So
I want
that's the
personal
first
touch.
one. The
Okay.
first one, you'll get it. You send an email, or you have my WhatsApp, so it's easy for you to get the personal touch. And then I do recommend for B2B marketers to look at G2. G2 will give you a lot of authentic customer reviews to show you, for your stage, for your company, what is the right thing to do, because different stages, different. If you're serving the SMB, your ACV is at like 100K, or if you're serving the middle market enterprise, your ACV is 50K. Different tools, different processes.
Crazy. It's a very complicated world. Fortunately, there's a lot of information out there. Gil, I appreciate you coming on the show. Thank you very much for
Thank you. I had fun
being here. And then we're gonna keep jamming and keep transforming sales like we're doing, man. Have a good one.
Thank you, Amir. See you later.
You got it. Bye-bye.